Well, hello YouTube, and welcome to another episode of Holding History. Now, in this one, I may be talking about something that might offend some people, so I certainly hope that that is not the case. That is not my intention for this video. It's just one that I'm going to entitle, Dear Silver Stacker, Don't Ignore Numismatic Coins. And my goal for this is just to make you consider a different perspective. If you're someone who just stacks a whole bunch of ounces and is just not, just has never been pulled toward numismatic items, coins with any age on them whatsoever, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not condoning it, and I'm not knocking it. All I'm saying is that there's another viewpoint out there, and I just wanted to give you a few reasons why I enjoy collecting numismatic coins. So now certainly not all of us are history buffs. I dare say that we are a dying breed, those of us who really appreciate things from the past that have survived from generation to generation. But even if you're not interested in what you can learn about cultures and time periods and peoples through the coins that they leave behind, there's still several other reasons, many reasons, but several that I'll kind of touch on tonight that would possibly make it of interest to you, if you're not interested in numismatic coins at this point, to maybe want to pick up at least a few of them and have in your portfolio. So first of all, whenever you buy a numismatic coin, depending on whether or not there's any bullion behind that, melt value behind that, you are basically entering into a whole different, whole new market. And that's with the numismatic value. So if you have a coin that has, say, an ounce of silver, and then you also have the numismatic value layered on top of that, then you're basically playing in two markets. You're playing in the numismatic value market, which is influenced by lots of different factors, and then also the precious metals market, that is the underlying melt value of that. So you get to take advantage of that. Two markets that in many ways are independent of each other. And that's just a sort of a challenge. If you want to try and navigate those two markets successfully, that could certainly be a challenge for you. Secondly, truly gem numismatic coins. Now, we don't have any gems that I'm sitting before you today, but some interesting pieces. The true gems lend themselves to being treasured, I would say, and I think it'd be fair to say more so than those which are newly struck and have newly been minted and are shipped to you directly from the mint. Those type of pieces can certainly be beautiful and certainly can be important to you, especially if they're interesting or if they are hard to find or if they're limited edition. But something that has survived decade after decade or century after century and has passed through so many hands and then has somehow miraculously ended up in your possession, if you stop to consider that, even if you're not interested at all in history, you can probably appreciate just the size of the story that would come behind something like that. So I consider it an honor to be able to hold these things and enjoy them and appreciate them like they obviously have been appreciated throughout the many decades of their life. So just being the next caretaker, the next steward in the long journey that these coins have had, like I say, it's an honor for me. And if you stop to think about it, it could be an honorable thing for you too. And then lastly, I want to touch on a subject that is pretty far-fetched, and I'm not sure that I subscribe to all of it, but it has happened in the past, and as we know, history sometimes tends to repeat itself. And I'm talking about the Executive Order 6102 that was signed into law in 1933, during which it was made a criminal act to be a private owner of gold in excess of $100 face value. Now, there are many folks out there who will try and tell you that this probably will happen again, and many times they're trying to sell you gold coins. And there are a lot of people out there who say that this could never happen again. We're no longer on the gold standard. The government would have no reason to do this in the future. However, as I say, sometimes history tends to repeat itself. So it certainly couldn't hurt to have a few of these things like this lying around. You never know. Now, one thing I didn't mention yet about the order was that if you were in possession of over $100 in face value of gold coin, you had to turn those in to the government, you were given $20.67 an ounce for that gold. However, if you were in possession of coins that were, quote, they had a recognized, quote, special value to collectors of rare and unusual coins, you were allowed to keep those in any amount because they had the numismatic value, which was understood even in 1933 when coin collecting was basically in its infancy. So you were protected if you had these type of pieces. And the reason, of course, well, I did forget to mention the reason that the executive order was passed was because the Federal Reserve notes, and I've already shown you this one. This is the back of the $5 Federal Reserve note of 1914, the first generation notes. These notes did have a clause on the back that stated that they were redeemable in gold or lawful money. And they signed this act into law, basically taking us off the gold standard for the final time, because the Federal Reserve had already reached its limit of 40% reserves in notes outstanding, and it had to do away with that in order to print more money. So they did that. They recalled the gold and all the gold certificates, and it became illegal. Will this ever happen again? I certainly can't predict that. It may not be an obvious reason to at this point in time, but things can change, and in times of stress, things can change rapidly. So you never know when, in the far-fetched possibility that would ever happen again, who knows? These may be your ticket to safety. So there are a few reasons that I think it is a good idea to at least hold a few of these numismatic treasures in your portfolio. And if you agree or disagree, certainly leave comments below and we can have a conversation about it. These are just my viewpoints, and if you disagree, certainly you can voice your opinion below. I appreciate your time for watching and considering, and hope you have a great day.